This is probably not the perfect time to do this, but since we always vacation in the tropics during rainy season, it actually feels pretty tropical. It's evening. It's like 6 something. But if I don't do it now, I'll never get around to it. Sometime I'll do a longer narrative about what you're seeing. Or maybe I'll do it now. But at any rate, there's just a story behind every one of like 250 kinds of plants. But that giant elephant ear just came up this month. It was a $5 bulb, a single $5 bulb. And somebody gave me this banana plant, and it is going to come up, so we should have a tree there soon. That ugly vine is one of my experiments with buying a sickly looking plant, and it still is, and it's fungus ridden, and I wish I didn't have it. Anyway. Okay, so most of this is stuff I planted, except those cannas that you see that look like with the big green leaves and the bird of paradise in front. And the stuff that looks like marijuana is cleome. Those 2 green pots are experiments where mostly I planted stuff from the grocery store, except for some random flower seeds that I had. Let's see. My one euphorbia, I gave away my whole euphorbia collection, but I couldn't resist buying just one. And it looks like I might be able to leave it out. I mean, my plan is to have almost nothing that has to be brought in if it's going to freeze, because that just turns into a real nuisance, and especially if we're on vacation. So, and many of these things are evergreen. One of my little sticks bought from Direct Gardening, I don't know if that one will come up. So a lot of what you see was half-price plants, and slightly, distressed looking, but everything was being sold off. It was February, so they were selling off all their inventory. These are fire bushes that are existing, but they froze all the way back, but they're coming back up. And my loquat tree, that'll be the tall tree, 20-foot tree or so. Well, I'm going to keep it in a pot, so maybe 15-foot tree, and it's evergreen. This is a castor plant, like they make ricin from, and wait till you see the ones. This grew in a pot, and it's not very happy. You should see the happy ones out front. And these 3 little palms will eventually have a place out front, but since they're very cheap young and they could be cute in their little square pots, I thought I'd just keep them as a garden ornament for a while. And that's lemongrass that I got planted. This goofy looking stuff is a spiral rush, and I liked it so much I bought a bunch of them. It's owners resembling their plants. Let's see, and nobody had done anything with the back garden, and then we decided we wanted a swinging chair swing. Okay, sorry, this is probably dizzying, panning. And covered mosquito netting so we can actually enjoy it. And it's hidden, so you can't see it from the house, but that means I want this area to look better, and that garden there is going to have bamboo and other things in it. And this little garden I've been augmenting. I already planned to have this one. This is my pawpaw patch, as in the song Way Down Yonder, the pawpaw patch. If you don't know what pawpaws are, they're not it's also used as a name for papayas. This is the North American fruit that doesn't ship. It rots right away, so you have to grow it if you want to try it. So anyway, there's a long story behind these. This is a wildflower mix, a perennial mix that I put in, a shade mix that I put in. But when they planted the trees, the gardeners stomped all over the flowers, and so I just added some vincas. And these I'm going to build up so that there'll be you could see like lush vegetation coming out from behind the trees, so it'll look like there's a jungle on the other side. And this little jungle back here you can't see except from the various tables and chairs. But I planted one of these alocasia and then decided I didn't realize it wasn't the most giant kind, so I planted a giant one behind it. And that's a banana tree that was supposed to be a blue banana, and it's the wrong one. And around it is some red Russian grass that's a little bit invasive that I'm growing. So it all looks pretty nice, though, and I won't rip out the banana unless it gets in the way. But these are my blue bananas. They're a tissue culture, so they're what they usually get them from a lab, and a grower will then mature them in pots and sell them to a nursery. And I got them directly from from someone who sells from the lab, and so I'm coddling them along. But the advantage is they'll have their root system established right here, and they'll never be transplanted. My sickly roses, I didn't plant them; they're just here. I love this chenille plant. It's supposed to spread. If not, if it does okay, I'll try to divide it because I'd like it all over. All the hibiscus and palms that we looked dead, but we waited, and a lot of people ripped them out. We waited, and they're all coming back. A string of tears. my few herbs, like this used to be the extent of my gardening. Oh, this thing's a goji plant that makes the special berries, and it's too wet. It's not happy. I'm trying to dry it out. Some petunias, a jasmine, night's blooming jasmine with a sweet smell, and then a daytime faux jasmine, the Confederate jasmine. These came with the house. Amaryllis and whatchamacallit, and these are my only collection of nuisance plants. These are actual true tropicals. That one of those was Grandma Sears's, but these are true tropicals that will have to come in for freezes. I'm trying to limit that. These are really small. I don't know if you can tell. These are sweet 4 o'clocks. These are a native plant that Thomas Jefferson collected. We got the seeds at Monticello, which I normally don't want to garden from seeds, but it started off a round of gardening. So now I have a few more plants to mature and transplant, and then I'm basically done. And that big one is going to be a hibiscus, and then peppers are supposed to be there. We're supposed to require a lot of work or a lot of germination time, and I did what was suggested and soaked them in Clorox and did all these things, and nothing was happening, but a dog came along and snuffled in them, and then some came up, so I stirred them a little bit, and now they're all coming up. So I'm going to have lots and lots of little pepper plants, and they are winter hardy. This is caladium and moonflower together. I just thought it'd be pretty, and it is. I've already yanked it down accidentally once and broken it. My herbs, lettuce, a little lime tree. This is my other nuisance plant. I know that will have to come in if it's going to freeze. This philodendron has come out of its pot. This was another one of those plants that was like $10 in February and really small, and they're just exploding with growth. I like these nasturtiums I planted. Dollar store seeds, 3 packages for $1. A Shasta daisy, or not, African daisy that was already here. So these are pots or collections of various things, including a little of that red grass that says will not grow in containers, but I thought I'd try it. So these are pretty random. The only thing remaining from the old owner is a little bit of sedum in one of them. This wonderful tree died back partly during the drought before we got here and partly during the frost, but it's a floss tree, and it's actually not hardy for our zone, but it has survived a long time, obviously, but we had to cut it down really hard back just now. And queen palms that are actually one zone ahead of us, but they're planted widely, but they're having a tough time. And bougainvillea, again, I didn't plant it. It's not our zone, but it looks like it's making it. And these little pygmy date palms. Okay, that bizarre plant, maybe you can just read more about it, but it's called a voodoo lily, and I'm quite taken with them. I got them in the ground too, but they were too expensive to risk them all in the ground. All my miscellaneous stuff, including a poinsettia. Those philodendron are still in their nursery pots, crammed into that pot, because I'm trying to restrict their growth until I'm sure of what I want to do with them. And I'm naturalizing a bunch of mint. This is all going to have black bark mulch soon. It will look a lot nicer, but I'm going to send this to you anyway. I forgot about the mulching. It'll all look much more jungle-like. Dad's clematis that didn't want to go, but it just suddenly has taken off, so I guess it's going to work. This is our darkest area. And ferns that froze back that are making it. Morning glories and African iris. Rose I planted for Kaya because it's thornless in the colors of her room. Bare rooted, cost almost nothing from direct gardening. The gardeners yanked up the base of this poor morning glory, but it has huge pale blue flowers, and if it doesn't work, I just bought another package of the seed from the dollar store for 33 cents. And passion vine that's going to produce edible fruit if we want to hand pollinate it. This is our darkest corner, and a Vitex tree. That's not marijuana. And what's special about it, Vitex is a little bit common, but this one's going to have pink blooms. So we seem to have a pot-themed garden. So now out in the front yard, it's just the biggest cosmos you've ever seen. That's a huge one of those voodoo plants. It wasn't that big of a bulb, but it just loves its area. Those elephant ears are tissue cultured, and again, clones from a lab, and they seem to be doing well. And I forget what that white is. Okay. But I had to coddle them along, but now they're going to do great, and they're cloned from a mature plant. And the beauty of that is that they'll reach mature size very, very quickly, rather than taking years of cycles of dying back and regrowing in the spring. So the biggest stand, these also were the dollar store. Later on, I read the review of this type of zinnia, and people just were aghast, but I think it's hilarious. They're the biggest damn zinnias you've ever seen. I'll show you perspective in a minute. some impatiens that I planted from seed that I didn't think would ever come up because they kept yanking them because their seedlings look so much like the Chinese tallow, but now finally one got a chance to grow. It's going to be beautiful. And a bunch of bulbs that were given to me for free or very cheap for various reasons. My lemon tree, it's sickly. It was sickly before I got it. It's all of its new growth looks good. And it'll grow up against that wall. But it's a small lemon tree. So anyway, more of these flowers and my little transplants of this is a special honeysuckle that I ordered. That's an Australian bred tree or Australian developed tree that it's hard to get here, and it grows tall and slim. It's called Slim. And some castor plants, but just wait until you see one that's real size. Some Spanish cane that I got alongside the bayou, but it is something people grow. But we had some in California, but anyway, it's invasive here. And a dwarf fig tree that should bear fruit this year. That's really big for a dwarf. And some blue bamboo that should go to 30 feet that is going to be planted behind the house. I'm winding up. This is a castor plant. It is absolutely enormous. There's my car in the background. Those are bricks, so I guess that's how you get a perspective. This was a volunteer, so it's the one that's growing the very best. I didn't really want one there, but I didn't want to rip out my best plant. And these are the killer zinnias. That is my car. That is not a trick of perspective. And that is the fig tree they sent me that's supposed to be 5 feet tall and well branched, or 4 feet tall and well branched, and it wasn't. That's why they sent me that other beautiful one. I asked them to send me a dwarf that second time. So anyway, this is a standard size fig tree that will be 20 feet tall or so, but right now it's up to its neck in zinnias. Okay, almost finished. This is our bedroom window. There's the bougainvillea that used to fill that entire area. Died back in the freeze. We didn't know if it would come back. It just now came back. So that's another special bottle brush that blooms pink and only grows maybe 8 feet tall and 4 feet wide, which is just amazing because that usually turn into trees. So it's really cool. And this is this triangle garden. A lot of this was original, but I've added the giant castor plant. And there's some pink roses back behind the red ones that will start blooming again soon that I put in there. And I put these yellow, brand new, it's a boxwood, I think. Just developed in Dallas, frost tolerant. So anyway, this is I call it triangle garden. The house is so tall it makes everything look dwarf, but that's another enormous castor plant. Okay, that concludes the tour. And this is the area I'm not probably going to do anything with for a long time until I put those palms there, because it'll be a nuisance to irrigate. The rest of it I've got on a drip system that gave me fits right before I was trying to get ready to go on vacation. Okay, glad you could see it, and maybe I'll take a couple quick pictures once it has the black mulch. Oh, and then this is the work we had to do on the garage, where taking down the garage door with all the nice slanted wood. But we had our carpenter build back gates with it. Oh, it's too dark. Anyway, they look kind of cool. All right. I hope you enjoy. Bye.